Today I'm going to go over some different Unit 4 Lesson 3 practice problems. Let's look at the first problem. This problem says, given the triangle GHJ, the measure of angle G equals to 110, so I'll go ahead and write that in. The measure of angle J equals 40, and the measure of angle H equals 30. Complete the following statements. Since angle G is what do we think angle G is? We're looking for something about the relationship about the angle. Angle G is the smallest or the largest angle. Well, it's clear that angle G is the largest angle, so we can circle that. The opposite side, JH, is the longest or shortest side. Well, what we've learned is that across the longest angle, we have the longest side. So, angle J and H, side J and H will be the longest side because we learned across the largest angle, we have the longest side. And we're looking at this side, J and H. Okay? The order of the sides' lengths from the longest to the shortest is, well, what else did we learn? We learned that we have the longest side at J and H. So we're going from longest to shortest, so we could do JH. That's already our longest side. That's what we already identified. And we need to understand what else we know. But we also learned that across the smallest angle, we have the shortest side. So across the smallest angle, we have the shortest side. So that is J and G. Therefore, we have also accounted for J and G, thus leaving us with one side that we can input here in the middle as our middle side, neither the longest nor the shortest, and that is angle G and H. So we have angle G and H, and thus we have our orders of the side lengths from longest to shortest. Let's look at the next problem. This problem states, which triangle correctly shows that the side opposite the largest angle is the longer side? So the side opposite the longest angle is the longest side. So what we want to do in this instance is identify the longest angle in every instance. So I'll go ahead and identify the longest angle in every instance. Actually, I'll mark that as it is shown, so we just remember that it is a right angle. And all of these are the same. Okay, so immediately we can go ahead and identify that C will not be our answer because all the angles are the same and we don't necessarily have a longer angle. But now let's look at the other ones. Across the longest angle of A, we have side number 10, so the length of this side is 10. Well, the length of the longest side is actually 13, so this does not show us that the side opposite the longest angle is the largest side. Now we can see here, our longest angle is this one, which indicates 90 degrees. Across 90 degrees, we have 13 units in length. That is the longest side out of all the sides, out of 13, 12, and 5. And so this, in fact, shows us that the side opposite the largest angle is the largest or longer side. So therefore, B is our answer choice. Let's look at this next problem. This problem states, the lengths of the sides of angles ABC are represented in terms of the variable m, where m is greater than 6. Okay, the easiest way to go about answering this problem is to actually go ahead and input 6 for m and see which of these we would get or what the length would be for each of these sides. So I go equals 6 minus 2 equals 6 plus 4 and equal to 6. So we have 4, 10, and 6. Okay, now what we want to do is we're being asked to list the angles from the smallest to the largest. Okay, well, the easiest way to go about this is to go ahead and draw a triangle, and I'll just label these A, B, and C, and I want to go ahead and label each of my sides what I got here. So AB is equal to 4, 10C is equal to 10, and AC is equal to 6. So I'm being asked to identify the longest angle, not the longest side. So what do I know? Well, I know that when I have my longest side, I'll have my largest angle. So my largest angle will be angle A. Okay. Now across my smallest side, I'll have my smallest angle. So angle C. And that leaves me with my last angle, which is angle B. So from largest to smallest, I have C, B, and then A. Okay. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next question. This question states, 3 friends arranged to meet at a park entrance, but each friend ends up at a different entrance as shown in the diagram. So where their names are is the different entrances. Pat is at a right angle from Chris and James is at a 48-degree angle from Pat and Jamie. Okay. So, which statement is true? Check all that apply. Well, what I want to do here is I actually want to identify what the remaining angle is for what Jamie is from Pat and Chris. And the way that I can do that is I can take 180, because I know all my interior angles of a triangle need to add up to 180. I can do minus 90, which will give me 90. And then minus 48, which I'll plug that into my calculator. 90 minus 48 will give me 42. So Jamie is at a 42-degree angle. Okay, so now that I know that information, I'm going to head and erase this, just so I don't get boggled up with all these different things on here. And now I'm going to look at which statement is true. Okay, the first one says, Jamie is at the smallest angle from the 2 friends. Well, we know that Pat is at a 90-degree angle, Chris is at a 48-degree angle, and Jamie is at a 42-degree angle. So Jamie is in fact at the smallest angle. So we can check that one as true. Next one. Pat is at an angle of 90 degrees to Chris and Jamie. Well, actually, we are being told that right here. Pat is at a right angle or a 90-degree angle from Chris and Jamie. And so we can click that one as true. Let's look at the next one. The path between Jamie and Chris is the shortest because it is adjacent to the smallest angle. So we're looking for the path between Jamie and Chris. Now go ahead and color this just so we can see it a little bit clearer. So they're saying this path is the smallest because it is adjacent to the smallest angle. Well, that's not anything that we've learned. What we've learned, actually, is that because the path between Jamie and Chris is across from the largest angle, that 90-degree angle, then it is actually the largest angle, not the shortest. So therefore, we cannot go ahead and select that one. Let's look at the next one. If they meet at Pat's entrance, then Chris will have to walk a shorter distance than Jamie. So if they're meeting at Pat's entrance, then Chris will have to walk a shortest distance than Jamie. Well, if they're meeting at Pat's entrance, Jamie would have to walk from here to here. And Chris would have to walk from here to here. And so we want to see if Chris will have to walk a shorter distance. Well, what we learned is that the shortest distance, or the shortest length, is across the shortest angle. And our shortest angle is 42 degrees, so therefore Chris would in fact have to walk a shorter distance than Jamie. And so therefore we can select that as an answer choice. Let us go ahead and look at the next problem, or the next statement. This statement says, if they meet at Jamie's entrance, then Pat will have to walk a longer distance than Chris. So they're trying to meet at Jamie's entrance. So Pat will walk like this to get to Jamie. And Chris will have to walk like this to get to Jamie. Okay? So it's saying that Pat will have to walk a longer distance than Chris. Well, we know that the longest distance is across the largest angle, and so therefore Chris would actually have to walk the longest distance to Jamie, not Pat, and so that would not be an answer we would choose. So therefore, we have answer choice 1, 2, and 4 that we can check off. Let's go ahead and move on to the next problem. This problem states, Lucy has to run 2 errands. She starts from the house and travels 3 miles south to the post office. From the post office, she travels 4 miles east to the gas station. Then from the gas station, she travels 5 miles to return home. The entire trip forms a triangle. Well, let's go ahead and create a triangle that represents this. The way that we would do this is we would indicate north, south, oops, it's not right. North, south, east, and west. Okay, so we would indicate that because we are given the different directions in which she travels. So from her start, she will travel 3 miles south. So let's say she starts here. She will travel 3 miles south. Okay, and we can actually mark that as 3 miles south. From that, which will indicate the post office, she will travel 4 miles to the east to the gas station. So 4 miles east to the gas station. Then from the gas station, she travels 5 miles to return home. So let's indicate where we started as home. So that will be 5 miles. So now we can go ahead and erase that. And if we wanted to, we could go ahead and make it bigger and indicate which of these different points indicates. So let me go ahead and move it and make it bigger. Just so it's easier for us to see. So 4, 5, 3. Go ahead and erase this. This indicates home. This is the post office, and this is the gas station. Okay, so we're asking, what was the smallest angle made in the trip? So smallest angle. Well, we know that the smallest angle is opposite of the smallest length. So we have our smallest length at 3. 3 is our smallest length. Let me get rid of that. 3 is our smallest length. So our smallest angle is opposite of that, so therefore the smallest angle would be located at where the gas station is located. So therefore answer A. Okay, that's how you would answer that question. Let's look at this next problem. Let us go ahead and look at this next problem. This problem says, given that segment AC is equal to LN and segment BA is equal to ML, which statement must be true? Well, this takes us to our hinge theorem. And remember, our hinge theorem told us if we have 2 sides of one angle that are congruent to 2 sides of another angle, like we have here, and the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second, then the third side of the first is larger than the third side of the second. So basically, because we know we have 2 congruent segments on both, then we're going to look for which of these has the largest angle. So we know that this has the longest angle, 7, 8, has the largest angle, or largest included angle over 58. Okay, so what did that hinge theorem tells us? Well, it tells us that because we have congruent sides that give us our included angle, that the triangle with the largest included angle will have the largest remaining side, or the largest third side, and that is side M and N. So MN will have, or be, the largest side. Over which angle though? It will be largest over or greater than the side of BC. So we want to look for a statement that tells us that MN has a greater length than BC. And so therefore we will select A as our answer choice. Let's look at the final problem. This problem says, given that GK is equivalent to XZ and GH is equivalent to XY, which statement must be true? Well, what we want to do is look at the converse of the hinge theorem, which is very similar to the one that we just saw, except it states if two sides of one triangle are congruent to two sides of another triangle, and the third side of the first is larger than the third side of the second, then the included angle of the first is larger than the included angle of the second. So basically, if we have two congruent sides, and one of those triangles has a larger length on the third side, specifically side YZ, as you can see here, YZ has 25 centimeters, while HK has 21 centimeters. Well, because the side is larger for YZ, well then YZ will have a larger opposite angle. So therefore, we note that angle X is, or the measure of angle X is greater than the measure of angle, what is my opposite angle to this, angle G. So we want to look for the statement that tells us the following, and that is answer choice B. Okay, I hope this was helpful. If you have any additional questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am definitely here to help you.